Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I will be showing off our Account Mayhem competitors and discussing the format. So I will be introducing them in the order which they have been seeded, which goes like returning channels in order of their placement at the last Account Mayhem, and then also factoring in other past success and all that. Followed by the newer bots, followed by the 2 reserve bots that I brought in. That's how the seeding works. So, first up, of course, the reigning champions, Among Us Tombstone, representing Sakona Visco. Deadly Bar, big beefy wheels, big beefy bot. Took it all the way last time. Disappointing showing in the main series where it took its first ever loss. But this thing, huge weapon, huge power in it. And it can really just take big hits, too. That's one thing about this bot, is its ability to just withstand damage. So, yeah, look at this thing. I mean, only bot on the channel to ever win an award in the Fanmade Robot Wars Awards, so, you know, pretty, solid showing. Look at this thing. Next up, second seed, Crystal Carnage and White Knight 2. Now, I do apologize if I get some of these names wrong. I have the video pulled up on my phone, which I'm looking at the names for most of these guys, as well as the channel representatives. For the ones that are in the community posts, I can't pull that up on my phone, so I will probably get those wrong. So the channel name for Ike's for Spikes, for example, I don't think I'll get, because I don't remember it, and I apologize for that. But, yeah, so this is Crystal Carnage's bot, White Knight 2, pretty sure about that one. Big vertical spinner, big plow on the front, right? But it also has interchangeable weapons. At the moment, the flipper is also on it, but that will come off during fights, right? Spinner just kind of comes off like so. There it is, with the plow. Pretty nice and easy, although it gets stuck to your fingers. And then you just have the flipper, which is pretty solid. Spinner, big, beefy, powerful. Flipper, a bit on the weaker side when it comes to flippers, but very low ground clearance on it. This thing's definitely a threat. Crystal Carnage, one of only a couple of channels that have competed in every Account Mayhem now, alongside Delboy, Josh, Glitch, Came at the Core, and Racer 1905 I believe are all of them. Got his best performance ever in the last Account Mayhem, was pretty close to winning with Riptide, made it all the way to the final, but a lucky shot from Among Us Tombstone took him out. So this time he's definitely looking for revenge. So that's what we got. So there's your second seed, Crystal Carnage's competitor, big, beefy spinner, pretty solid flipper. Okay, there are 2 competitors with interchangeable weapons this season. One of them is White Knight 2, the other is Neverwave's entries, the multi-bots. I forget if there's... Yeah, it's Cyclonic Rift and Chain Lightning. It's Cyclonic Rift that has interchangeable weapons, so... For you two, I would appreciate it if you would comment below this video just like every competitor in your heat, which setup you'd like to use. Or just, you know, trust me to do it, but I might get it wrong or do something you don't want. So if you're willing to, if you want to, just say which setup you'd want to use for every bot in your heat, just so that's prepared, you know. Next up, third seed. Delboy always comes in with a great bot. All 4 Account Mayhems, he has had great bots. His bot last time, which name does escape me, a bit unlucky, took a big exchange with Riptide and landed with the Shremek Open, unfortunately. And that bot was my pick to win the whole thing, and I really do believe it could have, if it had won that fight. Unfortunately, took third, but this is Anarchy, his new bot. I believe it is just Anarchy. Yes. Flipper says Anarchy on it. Big, powerful flipper. It's got this side Shremek arm, because you requested that. Big vertical spinner on the back with anti-horizontal spinner, little wedge there at the front. I tried my best on the red eye, really. I have no artistic talent, so, you know, is what it is. But this bot might be my pick to win this one as well. I don't know if any of the bots that I have picked to win them have won them. Probably not. I don't remember who I had for the first and second account mayhems. I want to say for the first one it might have been Azkaban, to be honest with you. Maybe TNT. But yeah, this one is probably my pick to win. It's got versatility, it's got a lot of power in it, all that. Fourth place at the last account mayhem was Robotic Apple XL and AARW, or ARRW, one of the two. He did not enter this one, so we're moving on to the 5th, 6th placers. And we have BattleBots Fights Explained. This will be his 3rd account mayhem, so Delboy and Crystal Carnage, they've entered every single one. Sakona Visca has entered, this will be their 3rd, and this will be BattleBots Fights Explained's 3rd. Look at this. This is the first time he's entering with not a real-life bot. He entered with Complete Control in the 2nd account mayhem, and Bombshell in its X configuration of the last one. Now it's entering with 2 real-life bots, forced into one with Hyper Lash here, so it's got Whiplash's weapon and Hypershock's chassis. I think it looks pretty good, to be honest. Big, bulky wheels, very fast, pretty low to the ground. The spinner could be a bit questionable, but it's okay. The bots that BattleBots Fights Explained entered in the last couple of account mayhems, Complete Control and Bombshell, both managed to push their way through pretty deep into the tournament. Complete Control managed to get top 8. And then top 6 for this thing right here. Pretty impressive showings, considering Bombshell was my prediction to go out dead last in the last account mayhem, and Complete Control I didn't think would go anywhere near the playoffs, so a lot of credit to those bots, right? So clearly something about his competitors allows them to punch above their weight, but this one looks like it could be a real contender, so does that mean it takes the title if it's punching above its weight, right? Its weight is maybe a playoff contender. Will it be a title contender because of that? The last 5th, 6th competitor, Gawain Hale Films, the last entry in the league count, man. GH bot here. Powerful rear hinged flipper. The side skirts make it all on the side, of course. Front ground clearance has been lowered by this little plastic bit. Big, bulky chassis, but it has not stopped the bot from getting Jelly Jam and I think it's Bouncer from 2000. Is the second one here? Yes, it is. I will get a star on this thing. I tried for the hexagon shape. It technically has 6 sides, probably a bit more than that, to be honest with you. And the less said about the bottom, the better, but it's okay. It's got a little flipper on the front here. Again, I will add a star. Jelly Jam has this big old lifter. And GH Bot, of course, the powerful flipper. It was on a tear last account mayhem, knocked out by ARRW in the lower bracket, but this will be Gawain Hale Films' only their 2nd season, right? Probably the best rookie competitor last time. Will it be able to push itself even further with this redesign? Because it's pretty hard to get under. These hinge skirts make it very low, and ground clearance is a big thing in robot combat in general, so could it be enough? Next up, we only have 2 returning champions. Land Rover and Scammed have set a pass on this one, but Razor 1905 2.0 came in with a bit of a later entry in Rotator, who's returned unchanged since the 2nd account mayhem. The 1st account mayhem champions, beating Goldmine in the grand final. Since the addition of that 2nd disc, it hasn't had a ton of success. Fell out a lot earlier than it probably should have. Chucked itself, I believe, out of the arena when it was taking on Bombshell. So, in the last account mayhem. Gotta worry a bit. Is the design getting a bit too old? Who knows? But it's here. It's very small. For example, let's take one of Neverwave's multi-bots here for scale. They're pretty similar in size. Like, they're very similar in size. So, very small, compact machine. It packs a punch. But will that punch be enough anymore? I don't know. And next we have the returning Cam at the Core. Now it's gaming for this one. Rainbow Fidget has returned for its third time. You would think, looking at it, it's unchanged from the last one where it went out pretty early. I'm not sure exactly what place it got, but it wasn't in the final episode, so pretty poor placing. But now the Shremek acts as an axe. Hammer, whatever you want to say. It's not a necessary edit. It's probably never going to get used, but the thing still lights up, still goes rainbow colored, and it still hits very hard. This is perhaps the hardest hitting full body spinner I have, and perhaps one of the hardest hitting bots in the entire competition, which says a lot. Came at the Core, top 4 with TNT in the first account Mayhem, changed it to Rainbow Fidget 1.0, went all the way to the grand final in that second account Mayhem. Then in the last one, a bit of a disappointing showing, so definitely wanting to get a bit better here. 7th seeded, it's going to have to prove itself. And lastly, the final returning competitor, Josh Doing Things YT, with a Abomination. This thing, bro. I think it actually came out very nice looking. I did not have faith in this build at all, but I think it actually turned out pretty nice. So it says Abomination up at the top. It's got the vertical disc on the wedge at the back. It's got this wedge here with a flipper and an axe. The axe can self-right the bot. Just about. There we go. And it's got the full body spinner on the inside. Man, this thing is untested. I will not say I would be surprised by it winning fights, because it has so much firepower on it. That full body spinner does not have a lot of range though, but it makes the bot a lot heavier. It's also got Omni wheels, so it will always be facing its opponent, but it doesn't need the Omni wheels because look at this thing. A weapon is always going to be facing an opponent. It doesn't matter. This, I don't even know what to say about this thing, to be honest. Yeah. It certainly is an abomination. Next up, our first rookie competitor, Roomba Wars, 9th seeded, green screen. So, it's very small and compact, actually. Let me pull out the multi-bot from Neverwaves again. They're very similar size-wise. Like, very, very similar. So it's a very small, compact machine, but that disc, it packs a punch. It's one of the less unique designs in this competition. I mean, there's been a lot of unique builds in this one. Interchangeable weapons, multi-weapon bots, multi-bots, which are very uncommon in my series. And this is just a tried and true four-wheel drive bird. And to be honest, I think it could be a threat. We'll see how it does against Abomination. I don't know what to say about that thing, but this is probably my favorite rookie bot. And I think it can definitely punch above its weight. I think it can make playoffs. I do. Next up, I do apologize again for not remembering your channel off the top of my head. Community posts, you know, I don't have access to on my phone at the moment, but it's Ikes for Spikes, and I hope you can be happy for how high of a seeding you've got. Second highest newcomer. It's got the Plants vs. Zombies squash on its hammerhead. This thing is a heavy hammerhead. Like, look at, I had to give it support so that this thing didn't just, like, snap off, because it is perhaps the hardest hitting hammer I have built ever. It's very, very top heavy. This thing is probably 90% of its weight. It's got the, I forget what the exact word for it is. I think spikeweed is what it's called from Plants vs. Zombies on the front wedge. It says the bot's name on it, Ikes for Spikes. Spikes is covered by the spikes, but, you know, that kind of works, doesn't it? That thing, the weapon is so heavy Like, that could definitely upset. I can see it beating Rainbow Fidget, because I think the wedge is very solid against horizontals. I can see it absolutely beating the life out of a lot of bots here. There has never been a successful spinner in my, a successful hammer or axe bot in my series, never. Even in the pre-series, I did 15 of those. You want to know how many hammer/axe bots ever made it past the heats? 0 times. That's 15 pre-series plus 2 series you've seen here on the channel. 0 times has a hammer or axe bot ever made it past the heats. But that thing could. I really do believe in that design, in that bot, because that weapon is so heavy. Next up, this one may or may not get changed to have a weapon for the main series, but this is Storm 2, entered by Bebith Bolo, or Bebith Bolo. So, very low to the ground, especially at the sides, front pretty low to the ground, a lot of pushing power. No active weapon on it, so if you do want it to have one of its active weapons, be it the lifting arm or the front hinge flipper it had in the reboot, or top hinge flipper, top hinge lifter, whatever you want to call it, go ahead and ask for it. If not, we will just be using the one from my main series, which is this thing. Very low to the ground, pretty much everywhere. A lot of pushing power. I don't think it'll win the whole thing, but I think it could cause an upset or two, for sure. Next up, we have Friday Night Funkin' Music with Brobganelbot. Or, sorry, the Brobganelbot. So it's got Brobganel on the side, it's got that wheel. It's like a gambling is what a Brobganel is, I'm pretty sure. Sorry, no, you said Big Six like robot. So this is a Big Six from what I googled. Not a gambler. And it's got a big vertical spinner on the front. I'm gonna say it, probably not gonna win a fight. The weapon does hit hard, but it's not exactly invertible, and it can't self-right, and it's got a lot of ground clearance, but, you know, who needs to self-right if you just win the fight in the first hit? It could do that, so who knows? Next up, Neverwave's multi-bot here of, I believe it is Cyclonic Rift. It actually has its name on it. Cyclonic Rift and Chain Lightning, I believe are the names. Yes, I got that right. So you've seen Chain Lightning a couple of times. It's got kind of lightning stuff on the top, and it's got nice blue wheels, and it's got the lifter spinner. Cyclonic Rift here has interchangeable weapons, so you can see the drum is on it here, so is the undercutter, and it just kind of pops off. They're both attached by one piece of tape. So that's the base bot. Then you just pick whichever weapon you want, put it on the front, and it just does whatever, you know? So, here's what I'll say. Not a lot of multi-bots in my series. In the entire history of it. The 17 series, plus however many side series, all that stuff. Very few multi-bots. I can't name a single one. I will be honest with you. That said, not bad bots, these two. Really not. They do pack a bit of a punch, and with teamwork I think they can do solid, but the big spinners are probably going to have a bit of a field day with these two. Just because they are very light. So, we will see. I wish them the best of luck, though. And like I said, with White Knight, because you have a bot with interchangeable weapons, Neverwave, if you could comment below for every single competitor in your heat when I go ahead and list them. If you could just comment which version of Cyclonic Rift or Cyclonic Rift you want to have when facing each of those bots, I would appreciate it. If not, I will just use my better judgment, which may not be the best judgment, you know? Next up, representing Bob, is this thing. Jumbo Josh Crusher from the game Garten of Banban. I have not played that game. This thing is huge. For context, here's Rotator. Yeah, this thing is big. It's got kind of a tough as nails design. It's just big. That is its only character trait. Okay, it's just huge. That I don't even know what to say. It's just really, really big. And whether or not that pans out well for the bot is we will wait and see, because this is this the new Among Us Tombstone? I don't know. I don't know this game. I don't know if it's popular in the fan-made Robot Wars community or not. I don't know if I should enter this for the Meme of the Year award like I did Among Us Tombstone, or if I should just enter Among Us Tombstone again. But, like, Among Us is a dead joke, so I don't know. You know? Whatever. So next up, the last two seeds are our two reserve bots. They will be taking on White Knight 2 and Among Us Tombstone. So, here's Goldmine representing Glitch. It's returned in reserve form unchanged. It's been doing worse and worse just because of how weak the armor is, right? But it does hit hard, it does pack a punch. If it can end a fight quickly, it can definitely go far. It's a former runner-up, former semi-finalist. But it's seeded very low, so we'll see. And representing Pencil Buddy is Eraser, whose first fight is, of course, against the first seed, Among Us Tombstone. So, David versus Goliath, right? Its wheel is the size of this bot, bro. It's so big. Yeah. So, unchanged since its last appearance, which I feel like was the second account, man. It's fine. It's not anything special. It's just Tombstone, but like Eraser themed, you know. So now we have our format: 2 heats of 8 competitors, double elimination format. So if you lose your first fight, you're not out. If you make the upper bracket final of your heat, you are going to playoffs, no matter what. That upper bracket final in your heat will be played out. The winner will get a first round bye in the playoffs and instantly make top 4. Meanwhile, in the lower bracket, the other competitors will battle it out till the lower bracket final. The winner of that will then go into the playoffs. So both heat will give 3 teams for the playoffs. So I think it's better to try and visualize this. Basically, Among Us Tombstone here, right, takes on Eraser in the first round. That's just seeding, right? Destroys it. Pretty expected. And then it will take on Green Screen, because Green Screen upsets Abomination, fights it, destroys it. And then you also have whoever else is in the heat. Let's just pick the 4th seed of Hyperlash here. These two meet in the upper bracket final. They haven't lost a fight yet. They fight each other. Among Us Tombstone wins. Among Us Tombstone is now in the top 4, guaranteed, gets a first round bye. Hyperlash is still qualified for the playoffs. Nice and safe. Then we go to the lower bracket and we see, I don't know. Who else is in the first group? GH Bot takes on Green Screen in the lower bracket final. They fight each other. Green Screen wins. Green Screen goes to the playoffs. So that would mean Heat A gives us Green Screen and Hyperlash in the top 6, and Among Us Tombstone in the top 4. That's just what that means. So that's generally just the format. It'll make probably more sense when you watch it, but that's the format. So the account name will be 3 episodes. It will be Heat A, Heat B, and the grand final. And the playoffs are single elimination. You lose, you're out. So now for the heat draw, it's pretty basic. All things considered, it's just kind of you know, round of 16 bracket style. So Heat A would be one side of the bracket, Heat B would be the other side of the bracket, basically. So we've got Among Us Tombstone taking on the Eraser in Heat A, and alongside them, you've got Abomination, you've got them taking on Green Screen in round 1. Not a size difference at all between these two, by the way. And then you have Hyper Lash here, and they would take on, I believe, these two, the Multibots, Cyclonic Rift and Chain Lightning. And then you've got GH-Bot and Brobganobot. So that is your opening matches for Heat A. 3 of those bots will make the playoffs. Very nice, right? And then in for Heat B, we will have White Knight 2 taking on Goldmine in the opening match. And then we will have Rainbow Fidget taking on Ikes for Spikes. Very nice as well. And then we get 6th seed Rotator taking on Storm 2, so 2 real-life robots. So that's going to be a fun old match, I think. And then Jumbo Josh Crusher against Anarchy. So first round matches for Group B are, or for Heat B, is that. And 3 of those bots will make the grand final. Leave your predictions in the comments here. If you're a bot with interchangeable weapons, leave your weapon setups for every bot in your heat. Predictions. Among Us Tombstone, Green Screen, and I'm really not sure about the third one from the first group. Like, I would say Abomination, but I can't really pick both Green Screen, like, I can't do Among Us Tombstone, Green Screen, and Abomination, because they can't all 3 qualify. Because at some point, they'll face each other, you know, in the lower bracket. Because Abomination plays Green Screen in the first round, one of them has to lose, then the other would take on Among Us Tombstone, and Among Us Tombstone would qualify, but that means the other 2 are in the lower bracket fighting for one spot, so I'm not sure. I would go GH-Bot, I think, actually. I think GH-Bot would be the other qualifier. So I'm going to go Green Screen, Among Us Tombstone, and GH-Bot as my picks for the first heat. For the second, I think Anarchy and White Knight should have a pretty easy time, all things considered. Outside of that, though, I'm going to go for Ikes for Spikes. I think that hammer is going to hit really, really hard and can definitely do more damage than any other hammer the series has ever seen. So that's my pick for both heats. Leave your predictions below. Leave your weapon combos. Leave your thoughts, feelings, concerns. Leave any changes you want to make to any of these bots. All of it below. See ya.